Okay, sorry about that. So today is day 1 for time. So we're going to focus on time conversions and elapsed time this week in small group rotations. Today's lesson, to start, you should have this clock piece of paper in front of you. This is an activator, but use this as you go through the lesson and reflect and look at it so that the numbers can help you to make your conversions later on the lesson. So first of all, press pause on the screen and take a moment to fill out as much as you can on your worksheet. Once you've filled it out, then press play and check in and see if your answers are correct. Okay, so let's see if your answers are correct. Let's look at the clock first. So, of course, the number itself represents each hour around the clock. So there's 12 hours on the clock. But then every hour, also, if it's a long minute hand on that, represents the minutes. So the 1 is 5 minutes, the 2 is 10 minutes, then 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Notice on the 12 I put 60, but under the 60 I also put a 00. That is because normally when we say the time, we don't say that it is 11:60 or 12:60. We say it's 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. The 60 represents how many minutes are in an hour, but the zeros represent what we actually read out loud and say, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, etc. Now checking in at the bottom, how many hours are there in a day? 24 hours in a day. How many minutes are in an hour? There's 60 minutes in 1 hour. There's also 60 seconds in 1 minute, because all that means is the amount of ticks around the clock. So if you were to take your time and count every single tick mark around that clock, there's 60 of them to represent the 60 minutes and the 60 seconds. How many minutes in a half hour? Well, if there's 60 in a full hour, then half of 60 is 30. So when the long hand is on the 6, it means 30 minutes. Finally, how many minutes are in a quarter of an hour? So our clock is actually split into 4 sections, and every section is representing a quarter. So the quarters land on the 12, the 3, the 6, the 9, and back to the 12. So in a quarter of an hour, it's 15 minutes. That's why you hear people say 3:15 or 7:15. They mean it's either 15 minutes past or 15 minutes until the next complete hour. Okay, use this sheet as we go forward. You'll need it. Here we go. Here's our first question. Here's our learning target. We are learning to solve word problems that involve conversions of time. I know I have learned this one. You're going to recall information about the hour, minute, and second. Use the sheet you just completed to help you. Use the information to calculate from one measurement time to the next. So that would be hours to minutes or minutes to seconds. Add or multiply in order to solve. Okay, it's going to be in gradual release. So I'm going to do one, then we'll do some together, and then I'm going to send you off on an activity around the room, and the directions are on the last screen. So that word conversion, all conversion means is to change from one form into another. So converting seconds into minutes, converting minutes into hours, etc. That's the only word we're working on is conversions. Okay, so here's the first one. If there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, how many minutes are there in 4 hours? The reason I made a T-chart is to help me break this down. So, as it mentioned, there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Well, if there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, then in 2 hours, that would be 60 plus 60. That's 120. So then 3 hours would be 60 plus 60 plus 60. 60 plus 60 is 120, and 120 plus 60 more is 180. So 4 hours, which is what the question is asking me, would be 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60. Or we can think of that as 60 times 4. Well, here's the trick again. Hide the 0 in the back for after. 6 times 4 is 24, and pop the 0 back on the end. So how many minutes are in 4 hours? There are 240 minutes. that's an MIN, in 4 hours. So you saw me use repeated addition or you saw me multiply. Those are the two strategies you can use to solve. Here, let's do one together. So I'm going to pause in my space to let you kind of think and answer. Jayla took 7 minutes to eat her ice cream. How many seconds did it take her to eat her ice cream? Again, I have a T-chart. The words are minutes and seconds. So I'm going to put minutes and seconds. Okay. Well, first of all, it's 7 minutes, but we're doing minutes, seconds. So let's talk first. How many seconds are in 1 minute? Use your sheet if you need to, or think about it. Remember the tick marks around the clock. There are 60 seconds in 1 minute. Okay, well, what about 2 minutes then? 60 plus 60 is 120, or 60 times 2 is 120. You see a pattern here? So how would we figure out the 3? We would have to do 60 times 3. Remember the trick? Hide the 0. What's 6 times 3? 18. And you hid 1 0, so put the 0 back on, 180. Well, let's do the next one. If it's 4, we would do 60 times 4. Think about what 60 times 4 would be. Hide that 0. 6 times 4 is 24, and put the 0 back on the back. Well, if this is the pattern and we need to figure out 7 minutes, then what would the equation be to solve? Awesome. It would be 60 times 7. Hide your 0. And what's 6 times 7? Pause if you have to think for a second. Press the pause on the video. 6 times 7 is 42. And we crossed out 1 0, so we're going to put the 0 back on. So how many seconds are in 7 minutes? 420 seconds in 7 minutes. So do you see again? We're taking the information we know about 60 seconds in a minute and multiplying it by the number of minutes they want us to figure out. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, here's a chart. Days into hours. Look at your sheet. How many hours in 1 day? Okay, so 24 hours is 1 day. How would you figure out 2 days? 24 plus 24, or 2 times 24. 2 times 24, or add up 24 plus 24, and what's that answer? Oops, sorry. 48. So how would you figure out 4? 24 times 4. If you don't know the 24 times 4 and you can't figure that out, then it's the same thing as doing 24 plus 24 plus 24 plus 24. And if you add that up, what do you get for an answer? Pause if you need to solve and come back and check if you got the right answer. $96 hours. How would you figure out 6 days? See the pattern? 24 times 6. If you're not sure how to multiply that, then it's 24 plus 24 plus 24 plus 24 plus 24 plus 24. Or if you notice, this was 4 times we got 96. So take 96 and add 24 2 more times. 96 plus 24 plus another 24. Pause and solve. Come back and check your work after. All right, 144. Again, how are you going to solve for 8 days? What's the equation? 24 times 8. If you don't know what that is, add 24 8 times. Pause my video, solve, come back and check. So you got 192. And how many for the final one, which isn't too bad to solve? What would the equation be? 24 hours times 10 days. Oh, you got a 0 in the back. Nice and simple. Hide the 0 for later. 24 times 1 is 24. Pop the 0 back. Okay? So in 10 days, how many hours have you spent? 240 hours. In 6 days, how many hours have you spent? 144 hours. Again, converting from one to the other. We're doing repeated addition or we're multiplying. Okay, let's move on and look. All right, here we go. Debbie ran around a field in 45 seconds. Kayla ran around it in 1 minute and 9 seconds. How many seconds did it take Kayla and Debbie to run around the field all together? Well, all together tells me that I'm going to add. Now I got to find the minutes and I have to find the conversion words. I see 45 seconds. I'm going to find the numbers and the conversion words. I said minutes. Then I see 1 minute and then I see 9 seconds. The question's asking us for an answer to be in what form of time? They say seconds. That means all my numbers must be in seconds in order to add them together. What is already in seconds? I see 45 is already in seconds, and I see 9 is already in seconds. So I've used this piece of information, and I've used this piece of information. Does something have to be changed that's not in seconds? I see minutes, but it says 1 minute. What do we know that 1 minute means in seconds? Look at your conversions if you need to. 1 minute is the same as how many seconds? It's the same as 60 seconds. So now we can add them all up. 5 plus 9, 14. 14 plus 0 is still 14. Put down the 4, carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5, and 5 plus 6 is 11. So how many seconds did it take to run around the field all together? 114 seconds. Okay, so in this case, what did I do first? I found out what word our answer must be in. What did I do second? I found all the numbers that they're talking about in the problem. What did I do third? I made sure that every number was in the correct time that I need it to be in order to solve. And then finally, I added it together. Here we go. Let's try one together. Giovanni stacked all the cups in 3 minutes. It took Jadiel 2 minutes and 49 seconds to stack his cups. How many seconds did it take both boys to stack their cups? What does both tell you to do? Add. What's the time word in our answer? Seconds. So everything must be in seconds and we're adding it together. Do we see time words that are already in seconds? Yes, we have the 49. So I'm going to write 49. Are there words also used that are not in seconds? Minutes, and what's the number? 3. And also minutes, and what's the number? 2. So there's a 3 minute and a 2 minute. How many minutes would that be? 5 minutes. I have to change 5 minutes to what form of time? Seconds. Well, we know minutes to seconds. How many seconds are in 1 minute? 60. Remember we talked about this. So I have 60. And what am I going to do with the 60 and the 5? We're going to multiply them or repeatedly add them together. So solve for yourself. Press pause and solve. What is 60 times 5? All right, 60 times 5 is, cross out the 0. 6 times 5 is 30. Pop the 0 back on the back. 300 seconds. Now that they're both in seconds, what can we do? Add them together. 9, 4, and 3. How many seconds did it take the boys to stack the cups? It took them 9 seconds. Got it? Okay. So here's the activity you're going to do. You're going to do an activity where you're going to get up and go around the room and find 5 different word problems. In order to do that, you're going to have to solve and show your work on how you did each problem in the boxes that match, okay? Come up to me, number 1. Come up to me. I have a work mat waiting for you that is numbered. So you're going to show your work for each problem in each numbered box. Find the problems and solve them using the work mat, and then come back to me and I will check your work or sit down and do a quick little reteach. You got this? Come back and rewatch the video if you need help. Use your time conversion chart and get going. Good luck.